Welcome to Data Crunch, where we talk about the ABCD, the AI, big data, cloud computing, and data science. Now, in today's episode, we're going to talk about something very important in today's workforce and working lifestyle, right? So, as data scientists in Malaysia and around the world itself, I've seen and also observed that many organizations want data scientists to be able to use Python, right? So, besides Python, before we go into why Python is so widely used, what are the other language that data scientists use?
Okay, so let's address the elephant in the room first. A lot of time people will start to ask, should I learn Python or should I learn R? So these are probably the two most popular language that we use in data science. So we use it to write data science program. And then on top of that, of course, you have other languages like JavaScript, C#, Java, PHP. Those are more towards Java is more towards the enterprise programming language. So we use that a lot in big data also, like Hadoop. We heavily use Java, and then from C#, if you use cloud computing, Microsoft Suite like Azure, then you probably need to write ASP.NET and C#, and PHP, JavaScript. That's more for web development.
Okay, so as a data scientist, should I at least know how each language works? Or can I just go in tunnel vision into one Python?
I think for most of our audience who are watching the show, they are more early stage in their career, so they are probably still deciding like whether they should pick up Python or R. But for a seasoned data scientist, most of the people that I know, they will pick one to start with. Let's say because in uni time, if they are coming more from mathematics background, more statistical background, then they'll pick R because that's what they are taught in the uni.
Right.
And then for someone who are coming from a more CS, computer science background like myself, or more into programming, then we will learn Python. Okay, but during the middle stage of their career, of our career, there are times that we realize that okay, actually Python can do better than R, or something that R can do better than Python. So sometimes we use both tools at the same time as well.
Okay.
Okay, so that's more for data science tasks. And if we talk about, say, JavaScript, right? Okay. So that's later on when you decide to publish your result. Remember the interpretation stage when you want to do visualization. Then you probably need JavaScript because there are a lot of things that cannot be done just by BI tools, for example, Power BI or Tableau. And then you have to write your own websites using some open source graph library like D3.js or HighCharts. And then that's the time that you pick up JavaScript.
And Python is free, right?
Python is free, JavaScript is free. So one of the good things about Python is it's free and open source. So with that said, meaning that you don't have to invest a large amount of money upfront. So it's very useful for startup companies or even for small medium enterprise. They don't really have that large amount of budget before they actually see the value. So they can easily use Python to build some POCs, proof of concept projects.
Okay. So Python is something that you would recommend someone to learn as well if it's new in data science?
Yes, not only because of data science. So if someone who are fresh and they want to enter the world of programming, let me show you some of the statistics first.
Yeah.
So if you look at Google Trends, right, we have Python, JavaScript, PHP, C#. These are the mainstream programming language. So Python and JavaScript actually gain their interest over the years. So this is okay, fine. Google Trends, probably from a digital marketing point of view, it just represent the amount of search volume.
But that also tells us the value, sentiment value.
Yeah, the sentiment value is meaning that something has gained popularity. Now, as a programmer, something that we care, number one, is whether this programming language or whether these tools is able to help us to solve our problems or not. That's number one. But number two also is depending on the community. So if you just like learning normal language. So a lot of time people ask me like, how do you learn English, for example? There's no secret in learning a language. You just have to keep practicing it and then find somebody who speaks the same language
and use it
and use it
again and again,
right? Over and over again. But say if I were to pick up Russian language today, that's fine. I can learn the basics, the words, the pronunciation and stuff. But it's very hard for me to find a partner to practice Russian together.
Because there's not so many people who speak Russian next to you, right?
Exactly. And the second thing is, you need to apply it in a certain context, right? So if I know English or if I know Spanish or Italian, then I know, okay, which are the countries or which are the cases, circumstances that I need those language. So same thing for programming language. The community itself is very important. So if you look at GitHub, so for the audience, you must have heard of it. GitHub is a very popular open source platform where people contribute to different type of projects and also do version controlling. So the 15 most popular languages on GitHub, as you can see, is also JavaScript and Python. If you look at different things like TOP or Stack Overflow, Python and JavaScript always top the list. So it's because of the usefulness and also because of the community support. So whenever you have a question, you can go to Stack Overflow, post it, and someone will be able to
help you.
Yes.
But help me understand as a layman person. So other than data science and doing data analysis with Python, what can Python? What else can Python do? Can it build sites? Can it build applications? Or
Okay, so Python itself is just a programming language. Okay, so if you need something that helps you to build a website, then you need a web framework.
Yes.
So in Python, we have Django and also Flask as a web development framework. So you can easily develop websites, especially the backend website, using Python.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any idea why is it called Python?
I barely remember this is coming from the movie, or it's called Monty Python.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's the origin. I can't really remember the entire
But
thing.
there's a story behind it.
Yeah, there's a story behind it, and I don't know. Programmers seems to like animals a lot, like Hadoop. They use elephants and bees, and then Python.
Oh, okay. One question before we go into a short break. When it comes to Python, right?
Yep.
And looking for jobs and all that, do a lot of companies already is looking for people with Python capabilities? I mean, do they put Python is a needed skill in their job
Yes.
descriptions?
So if we talk about analytical skills, especially data science related companies, they usually require you to use Python or R, right? So even if they're hiring someone to do R, you have two options. Number one, you can easily pick up R if you know Python. Okay, so there's no problem. I have never seen somebody telling me that, Dr. Lau, I can't switch to R. I know Python, I can't switch to R. I just find it too difficult. I never heard anything like that. Yeah, especially in the data science context, because the packages, the way that we handle data frames are highly similar. Okay, so that's one scenario. Now, on another scenario is, let's say they're building website. So sometimes it's depending on who are the person before you. So meaning that the person who started the project. So if they started using JavaScript or Java. But most of the time in startup companies, we're pretty open because they are using something called microservice architecture. Yeah. So it doesn't really matter which language that you pick, because eventually all the tools and services that you wrote is going to become an API. And those different systems can communicate or talk to each other using APIs anyway.
I see. Okay. All right. So we're going to talk about more Python after the break. Okay, so now you got me all intrigued up about Python, right? So now I really want to know what is Python, how it works. I want to see it in action, right? I'm sure a lot of our viewers also want to see Python, especially for those of you who have not seen it, right? What's Python, you know? So can you show us something on Python?
Sure. Now, before we get into that, let's talk about a common, I wouldn't say fear, but something that stop people from learning a programming language, right?
Yeah.
Why is that so? From your experience, Ruben?
I think because it feels like very technical, you know, if I'm someone not technical. So we get a lot of questions like, I don't have a programming background. Can I actually learn this one? Because it seems too much to learn.
Okay.
Alien language, you know, that kind of thing.
But, okay, so I would say too much is still a very vague term. Like probably at the first glance when they see it, it's like, okay, just words. And another reason is because we're too used to GUI. right? Graphical user interface. So yeah, a lot of times when you think about using something, it's more, even a 3-year-old kid can, they will know how to use an iPad and stuff. So programming language is totally different. It's not something that you can poke or you can drag and drop and slide up and down,
Maybe
right?
it's Apple's fault for making it so easy for us. So
Yeah.
we're so used to that. We are expecting that in every program and everything that we do, right? Drag
Okay.
and drop, Weebly, Weeks, the kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay, that's another topic by itself. But first thing first, let me give you a quick challenge here. Is that if you look at this piece of code, right? Are you able to understand or make sense of it?
Okay, I'm trying my best right now on
Yeah,
camera.
just normal. Yeah.
Remaining stock 50. I can
Okay.
see that you will send a warning email when you detect that you have low stock.
Okay, so
for
there are two
product, maybe.
functions here. One is send warning email, one is sell item. Okay.
Sell item
Yeah, very
quantity.
good. So let's look at the sell item part. Okay.
So remaining stock, you will print sold quantity items. Quantity
Yep.
remaining. So I can see that there's some kind of logic right there, right? Some
Yep.
kind of, it's not very far from our normal English language, right? So I'm not looking at here.
Okay, so let's look at this particular statement. It's just a one-liner. Basically, is a formula that.
So remaining stock, take away quantity.
Yep. So
Right.
meaning that is the
Current stock is
the
how
quantity that you sold, and then the remaining. So we update the remaining stock to become the remaining stock minus the quantity. Okay, this is
all.
nothing programming, right? This is just a business logic. So now let's look at this if-else command that always scares people off. So are you able to comprehend?
Yeah. So if remaining stock is less than 10, send a warning email to.
Okay, done. That's it, right? This is a very simple programming. Let's call it a programming code block. Okay, that tells you that you have two things. Okay, number one, you're trying to sell an item, so you have to tell the computer that what is the quantity that you are going to sell, right? And if the computers or the program detects that your stock level is below a threshold,
Correct.
okay, like our websites and stuff, so and then it should send you a warning email so that you check the stock, etc. Okay, make sense? So I call the function twice. Okay, the first time I sold 3 items, and then the second time I got a big customers that come in and bought 40 items. So we only have 50 items in stock, and then we have sold 43. Now it's less than 10. It triggered an email, and then it say detected low stock volume, sending notification to admin, Alice, and Bob. Done.
Okay. But when it comes to coding this thing up, right, we have to remember how the bracket works, how the.
Yes, so that is syntax is more like English language, and the thing that you mentioned about the brackets, colon, and stuff, that is just like a grammar.
Okay.
Yeah, just like when you write in English, you cannot say I is a man. So you have to say I am a man. But the reason why you have to say so, I don't know. But there's a reason behind, right? So that is more like a grammar of it. So the way that you structure a program, the way that you put the logic in there, and yeah.
But I understand that if you do something like this, right, with the brackets and all that thing, it comes more like a muscle memory thing. The more you do, the more you do it without even thinking about it anymore.
Correct.
That kind of thing, right?
Yeah, especially brackets. Since you mentioned bracket a few times, I think that's what scare most of the students is that what if I
miss
forgot?
one,
I
things
forgot
like
to
that.
close the bracket. Yes, because but as you're right, as you do more and more of it, every time when you open a bracket, you remember to close the bracket. And a lot of the tools nowadays, the modern tools, like the one that I'm showing you, probably you guys have seen it a lot of times, is Jupyter Notebook. So it's a very interactive tool, and it actually gives you the highlights. So for example, if you put on the opening bracket, it actually highlights where's the closing bracket for you.
It's easy to see, right?
Yes, easy to see, and there's a lot of tools that help you to write codes more efficiently and with IntelliSense, meaning that they remind you that, hey, did you forget to do something, or did you mean this or that? Yeah, so you don't have to memorize so much of the syntax, but it's more like you say, a muscle memory. So the more you do, the better.
The more you become used to doing it without even
Yes.
thinking about it.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
So this looks good, right? But what are the cons of Python? I'm sure there's some cons to a programming language like Python.
Okay, so let me show you another thing before we go into that. So this is what we usually use in data science. All right, so we can also read an Excel file into Python, and then we can automatically generate charts. So I think for those who are interested, you can download the script file and then have a look at on your own. But basically, is that you see a lot of corporate people every Monday morning they spend their time loading data into Excel, churning out into PowerPoints or PDF files. So this is the good thing. Another thing that Python can do for us as well. Okay, now back to your question, the cons about Python. Python itself is a scripting language, so it's not so solid when it's compared to other language that compiles into an exe or DLL file, for example, C# or Java. So when it comes to distribution, you always have to distribute your script file together with your source code.
Okay.
Yes, so that is one of the cons when it comes to things like you want to protect your source code, then that is a bit difficult in a sense.
So in layman term, it means we cannot package it down into a single file or something like that.
Yeah, you can, but usually when we do that, we try to package it as a service and then we put on the server.
Okay.
So for people to access the service from the server, rather than remember the good old time, you can put things in the CD and then give it to somebody and then they run the exe or installer. So it's less of that. Yeah, it's not so much of that.
Okay.
Yeah, and another common cons that we hear people talk about Python is the lack of GUI. So if you want to do something like mobile gaming, or you want to design a game using Python, then probably this is not the right tools or not the right language for you. Yeah, because the support for 3D rendering, graphical user interface elements is pretty bad.
Okay, so fair enough, there's pros, there are also cons of Python.
I mean, if you want to do those things, then you pick up other language. Yeah, Unity or processing framework. There are other languages that are much more better than doing that, especially when you want the speed of, like when you play games, you don't really want the lag or the latency. You want some language that can render things very fast, then probably low-level language like C++ would be a much better choice.
Right. So, okay, off the grid question.
Okay.
How many languages should a data scientist know, averagely?
Averagely, I think you definitely have to pick one between Python and R.
Okay,
and a little bit of web development language, because eventually everything is going to be on the website.
Yeah.
And for those that you don't know, even though you are building a mobile web applications, right? I wouldn't say a lot. Most of the techniques and the knowledge that you use is similar to the one that you build a website anyway. Yeah. So HTML, CSS, and JavaScript.
Okay, so I think we pretty much covered a lot about Python.
Yes.
Anything else you'd like to leave the audience with, maybe some key takeaways for Python?
Sure.
And advice for them if they want to get into this, if they get started into Python, build a career on it.
You should advise that there's no better way to learn something by doing it, right? Just to take actions. Like even the favorite Jack Ma says that, last time when he started, remember he wanted to learn how to speak English, and then he went to the riverside and then started to pick up some random Caucasian and then to speak English with them. So same thing, right? You want to learn something new, just learn by doing it. And then just go to Python website, download the file. You can go to the link below. I'll show you how do you set up your Python data science workspace. And also you can try to learn a little bit more from reading this book, Automate the Boring Stuff with Python. So it comes with a lot of good basics understanding about programming, not just Python itself, but the data structures, understand what is a loop, understand what is an array, a list, and also if-else statements. A lot of good things are covered here. It's basically a very fun read for beginners to intermediate programmers. Even for someone like myself, I still find it quite enjoyable to read. I can read pretty fast, but I find those practicals and the way they explain things for beginners are very interesting. Right? Yeah, refreshing. And then I can learn some of the stuff and share with the students. So it's a very good book to read. So pick up this book and learn the exercise.
Okay, so last question before we go off for the show. Now I know a lot of people today are very impatient.
Yes.
And we want things fast, right?
Yep.
We want things really fast. So we get this question all the time, right? How long does it take an average person to learn Python? I mean, this is a question a lot of people would ask, so we have to address this one.
See, I used to answer this a lot. If you guys don't know, you can watch our previous episodes of Data Crunch, right? So today I'm going to throw you another question: is how much time? Say, let's say if you want to pick up Python, right? How much time you intend to put in a day? You are able to put in a day.
Okay, so say it depends. I put myself in the shoes of someone who wants to get a job with Python, around Python, maybe data scientist or a programmer. And I really want to learn Python fast, and I'm willing to spend maybe 3-4 hours a day on Python.
3-4 hours a day, I would say it would take you a month.
A month.
Yeah, a good solid 1 month, and then you'll be able to pick up Python. If Python, like, okay, let's rewind a little bit from the code that you see just now. Yeah. Right. On a scale of 1 to 10, how hard did you find it?
It's not as hard as I thought it would be, actually. Okay. So I can actually quick glance at it. I don't know Python. I can still read some logic right there.
Yeah, at least the logic and the readability itself is not that difficult, right? Compared to probably Java or C++, that's very, very hard to understand. Yeah, so I would say a good 1 month, a good solid month, that will spend about 100 hours on Python already. So the syntax itself, pick up the syntax and then get some mini projects start to be around it.
So if you're dedicated, spend 3-4 hours a day on Python, within 1 month, you'll be able to do something and to be good at it. Of course, it comes later on as muscle memory and small practice.
Yes.
Right. Okay, so I guess that comes to the end of the episode for this one. And if you have any questions or comments, just let us know in the comment section below. Again, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and like us on our Facebook or visit our page at www.thelead.io. Again, let us know about your feedbacks and comments, and they might be just responsible for our next titles that we do in Data Crunch and also the other series. And with that, see you in the next episode again.
All right, see ya.